to 6 p.m., we are going to have a district-wide kindergarten roundup. Last year, we attempted to do it at the school sites, and very few parents turned out. So our forces are uniting together. We're going to have food service here. We're going to have new student center, transportation, and different departments are going to here to provide activities for our students. All of our kindergarten teachers will be here. So we encourage anybody in Douglas that is pondering the idea or wondering if their child qualifies to be enrolled at Douglas Unified. We invite you to come visit next Tuesday from 5 to 6 here at district office. We're going to be sharing out some flyers and promoting the event via our social media and our websites. And there will be flyers at every school during parent conferences this Thursday. We are currently Azella testing the life out of our ELL children. And God forbid there is an announcement or an issue taking place, because that will cause a violation during any one part of our Azella testing, and we already experienced that at Douglas High School. Our district's county spelling bee is taking place this Saturday. And we have our district student that is representing us from Sarah Marley Elementary School, and so she will be attending Saturday, and Mr. Jones will be there to support her kiddo. We also have parent-teacher conferences taking place on Thursday, and these conferences are extremely important. This is an opportunity for teachers and parents to collaborate in areas of concern or celebrations of their kids. So please visit the schools from 1 to 7. Therefore, there is no early release on Wednesday. Okay, parents and teachers, don't think you can send the kiddos away on Wednesday. And we are currently under open enrollment as of January the 1st, our families who wish to open enroll our children, and we are taking all children at DUSD that can qualify for our residency requirements, of course. And also, a new student center and our schools are in the process of completing the annual registration, and that is an every year routine matter where we require all of our parents to provide proof of residency in order to continue being enrolled at Douglas Unified. And those are my announcements.
Okay, why don't we, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Why don't we just move on to your Superintendent's Gem Award?
Yes. Our honoree for this month is Sandra Rucchini, a longtime food service employee who will be retiring at the end of this year. Sandra was a food service employee back when I taught, so I know she's a dedicated, loyal. Her colleagues said that she is always willing to help, willing to address any food service crisis that we have, and she was a rock for our pandemic during those difficult times in making sure that our food service department ran smoothly. So therefore, she is our GEM Award for this month. And not sure if she is here. So Sandra, you will be missed. I hope you enjoy your wonderful retirement, and please come up. Prepared over thousands of meals over how many years, Sandra?
31.
31 years as our food service employee. So you get the yellow for being bright and joyful and so cooperative with our kids. And it says, Sandra, Douglas Unified School District gives you the Superintendent Gem Award for being extraordinary and always going above and beyond and going the extra mile. So congratulations and no articulation.
Item 1EB, Governing Board reports, Mr. Smith.
Nothing.
Nothing. Ms. Alchow?
Nothing.
Mr. Lindeman?
Nothing this evening.
Mr. Ramos?
Nothing.
Everybody wants to go to the ball game. So
Yes.
we're trying to do what we can. Of
We're
course,
trying to go support our varsity girls.
Item 2, 21st Century Programs, Ms. Sydney Fimidas, and Mr. Fernando Morales, Ms. Samaniego.
Yes, today we are presenting, our two schools are presenting on the wonderful things that are happening with our 21st Century programs. They will be introducing their 21st Century coordinators, and I believe we have some students to share a few highlights.
Good evening, Mrs. Board President Bahrain, members of the board.
Ms. Samaniego, and DUSD admin. We are here to present the 21st Century program. Stevenson has had it for 5 years. This is our 5th year. And Ms. Miriam Herman is the site coordinator, and she's been the site coordinator for the last 5 years.
Hey, good afternoon, Board President, members, Ms. Samaniego, Mrs. Cox as well. I'm Fernando Morales, Principal of Joe Carlson. I'm here to also present for our 21st Century program. So we're very fortunate to have been granted the grant this year. So this is year 1 for us. It has been a very exciting journey of getting the program started, and we have an amazing site coordinator, Andrea Estrada, who's also going to present on behalf of Joe Carlson.
Hi, good afternoon, members of the board. I am Miriam Herman, the coordinator for Stevenson Elementary.
Good evening, and I'm Mrs. Estrada, Andrea Estrada, the coordinator at Joe Carlson Elementary.
So we have a presentation for you, and we're going to go ahead and get started. Thank you. So we're going to go ahead and get started first with a program overview. The 21st CCLC programs provide safe environments for students during non-school hours, focusing on schools with at least 40% economically disadvantaged students. Authorized under the ESEA and managed by the Arizona Department of Education, these programs aim to enhance academic performance. We offer tutoring to help students meet state standards, provide diverse services, include youth development, health education, arts, technology, and career programs that support academic learning. Engage families, facilitate meaningful family involvement in education. Grants are intended to supplement existing funding, not replace it.
Our grant program overview. The program is federally funded for a duration of 5 years once the grant is granted. At Stevenson Elementary, they are in their 5th year of the grant, and their allocated funds are $120,000. At Joe Carlson, it is the year 1 of the grant, and we were allocated at $130,000.
The program schedule for both sites is Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday. And the program runs from 2:45 p.m. to 4:45 p.m. They do have a 15-minute snack break. We have the homework club from 2:45 to 3:45 p.m. and enrichment clubs start from 3:45 to 4:45 p.m.
Our student enrollment right now, as of today, Stevenson enrollment is 148 students. At Joe Carlson is 124 students. In total, that comes out to 272 students. And our average homework club attendance is 45 students at both sites, so a total of 85.
And this is some of the student feedback that we have gotten in past surveys. I learned to improve my math and reading. I learned how to do multiplication and division. I learned how to make an essay of 5 paragraphs. I learned all about special people. Throughout the school year, I learned how to write a complete essay on how to improve my soccer skills, how to multiply and add, subtract big numbers, and how to measure angles and fractions. So this is some of the student feedback that we have gotten on past surveys.
21st Century also has a summer learning program. It provides high-quality summer learning, blending academics and enrichment activities, and the framework is 4 hours per day, 4 days per week, for 4 weeks.
At Stevenson Elementary, our after-school program offers the following. We have academic support, social emotional learning, STEM activities, tutoring, physical activities, drug and violence prevention programs, career and technical programs, counseling programs, art, music programs, literacy, and related educational development services to families. So we often have meetings with parents to provide these services. And that was the video for Stevenson Elementary. Thank you. So we have some future events happening at Stevenson. We have the parent and student soccer tournament. We're going to also have the cheer club showcase, Readers Theater Friendship Play. We're also going to have nachos and crafts at the end of the year. And we also have Career Day, where we invite parents to come and talk about their career to students. And the past events we've had are the Day the Crayons Quit Play and the Grinch Play.
At Joe Carlson Elementary, Cubs Clubhouse, our after-school enrichment, we have 5 teachers, 5 clubs this year. Our homework club, our STEAM club, our PE club, characters clubs, which is our social emotional learning club, graphic design, and also photography club, as well as our readers theaters club. And our Cubs Club upcoming events are as follows. We have our Valentine's Day Arts and Crafts, which is February 13th. Our spring showcase is still to be announced. We will be taking a field trip to the U of A Planetarium. And then we have our summer learning program. Thank you.
In conclusion, the program offers a variety of social, emotional, academic, and enrichment activities for students in need of support. And the data shows that students have demonstrated growth and development after participating in the after-school program for several years. And we have some students today that want to present some of their projects. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Arya Cahoon. I've been in 21st Century since first grade. I am in 5th grade. This is one of our newest STEM projects. This is a Bolty, the robot. We can program the robot to detect objects and perform several movements with a remote control. It helps us with coding skills. This is our robot.
Hi, my name is Jayla Avile. I am in 4th grade. I have been in 21st Century for 2 years. This is an engineering game that explores force, movement, and velocity. Hi, my name is Layla Alvarado. I am in 5th grade. I have been in 21st Century for 2 years. This set shows us how to design buildings and machines with a variety of pieces that help us understand balance in engineering.
Hi, my name is Arturo Perez. I have been in 21st Century since 1st grade. I like doing experiments with magnets and clay. I also done projects with animal magnets. If I put it this way, it will contract each other, but if I put it this way, it will retract.
And these are some of the projects that students do. Thank you.
For Joe Carlson, we have our Readers Theater would like to present. Where are my Readers Theater? And then we also have our Character Cubs.
My name is Cosventa at Perseverance. Perseverance, keep trying and never give up. I got A. Be nice and be kind.
Hi, my name is Mila, and I'm going to perform a puppet show. Hi, my name is Yoselin Marvisu. I am in 4th grade, and today I'll also be performing a poem puppet show. Little red hearts are meant to say, I am thinking of you on Valentine's Day. I like being friends with you to laugh and play. Thanks for your friendship on this Valentine's Day. Love, 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 love. See how it grows, see how it grows. I love my friends and they love me too. We love each other, that's plain to see. There's plenty for a big family. Love, 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 love.
Thank you for your time.
And I think that concludes the 21st Century presentation, and we can see great things happening after school at both sites. Thank you very much.
Thank all of
Oh,
you,
do it. And the
teachers.
kids.
Thank the students for being here as well. Very productive program. Any questions regarding that program? It's one we talk about a lot. It's been around for a long time. Mr. Smith?
No questions, but I did want to say it's obvious the hard work that these students have put in there, and it shows that they have progressed and they've done well at it. So obviously, it's a very good program.
Ms. Elchow?
I'd like to see it at all of our schools. Maybe one day we'll get it back
Yeah.
to that point. This has been amazing, and your hard work shows, and we really appreciate it, everything. One thing, invite the board to come to some of your programs because we'll show up.
I'm really pleased to see so many students take advantage of this because it is a very important program.
Yes, you know, the work you're doing, to me, it really gets down deep in my heart because a lot of students, they go home and they haven't got parents that can sit down and help them. And you're the only hope for them to learn and to catch on to how sad it is for a child to look at a paper and not be able to figure out what he has to do. Once you tell him, you show him, he grasps it, then he learns. But parents sometimes, they just don't have the time, or they can't really understand what they're doing. And your job is phenomenal.
Thank you very much. Just a quick question. Materials and supplies are part of that budget, right? Thank you very much again, all
Thank
of
you,
you,
students,
for
and-
a great program.
And keep learning, okay? Keep making robots. Thank you.
Was that the other slide?
No.
I thought he said it was missing.
Remember when you were that young, Nicole?
Item 2B, school activity report. Nicole.
Good evening, Mr. President, members of the board, Superintendent Samaniego, and members of the public. This activity report at DHS and DUSD schools for February is as follows. School highlights. Douglas High School's Hozo attended the Southern Regional Leadership Conference with 45 students attended and some who qualified for Hozo State. We're also thrilled to announce that our very own Anita Higuera from Douglas High School Girls Soccer has been nominated for Arizona Republic Athlete of the Week. And after, if you guys would like to vote, I have the QR code. And then what's going on at our district, the parent-teacher conference will be held on February 6th, as well as President's Day, which is no school on February 17th. At Douglas High School today, February 4th, the girls basketball will have their senior night at 7 p.m. Tomorrow, February 5th, boys soccer senior night will be held at 6 p.m. Thursday, February 6th, the boys basketball senior night will be held at 7 p.m. And on Friday, February 7th, girls soccer senior night will be held at 6 p.m. On February 8th, ACT national testing will be taking place. On February 7th through 8th, Skills USA regionals will take place. And on February 18th at 5:30, there will be a PTSO meeting. On February 28th, Drama Club and Skills Film Chapter will host a movie night. Congratulations to our student council who was awarded the Platinum Level Charitable Contribution Award at the Arizona Association of Student Council State Convention. Athletics is hosting a Spring Activate registration day on Thursday, February 4th from 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. at the new cafeteria. Spring tryouts will be starting February 10th to February 14th. At Rayburn Middle School, ASELA testing will be on the week of February 3rd. The Valentine's student dance will be on Wednesday, February 12th from 4:30 to 6:30 p.m. The Douglas High School freshman registration for next school year at Rayburn Middle School on Thursday, February 13th from 5:30 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. in the auditorium for current 8th grade students will be held. At Paul Huber Middle School, they will begin ASELA testing February 3rd, as well as have a PTSO meeting on February 20th from 4:30 to 5:30. At Clausen, they will start ASELA testing on February 10th, as well as hosting a PTSO meeting. The Clausen PTSO will be hosting a Family Sweetheart Dance February 12th, and Spring Pictures will be taken on February 25th. At Stevenson, the ASELA testing will be on Tuesday, February 18th, and Picture Day will be February 27th. At Joel Carlson, ASELA testing will be held Monday, February 10th, as well as Joel Carlson PTSO sponsoring a family's Valentine's dance on February 12th, and the Joel Carlson 21st Century program will be having a Valentine's Day engagement night on February 13th. At Sarah Marley, the Spring Pictures will be taken on February Tuesday 3rd, and their Sarah Marley Valentine's dance will be taking place on Wednesday, February 12th from 3 to 5. And congratulations to Nia Bentancur, which was the winner of the DUSD Spelling Bee. Finally, at Ferris, they will be hosting a PTSO meeting on Wednesday, February 5th at 4 p.m., and they will have a school letter grade celebration on Wednesday, February 12th, and begin the ASELA testing on February 24th. And that concludes my report.
Okay, thank you very much for that. We're gonna move now to the budget report. And I don't know whether you want to do anything with the budget and just wait for the first item on the agenda, which is gonna be pretty thorough and conclusive about the budget. So can we forego that? Unless you have something you wanna say specifically prior to that, or you want Sonia to say?
No, it's just your budget and travel reports are included in your background information. We have the amounts that is being encumbered as of January 2025, or what our budget balances are, including our M&O, our district additional assistant, our Title I auxiliary and student activities. So we are, healthy in terms of that. I will go more into details of our budget and upcoming situations that we are doing at item A.
Board members, in the event that the item on the agenda, actually the first item, doesn't cover any specific questions that you may have now, you may want to ask her, and if it's something that is, is intricate, is on something that's more than on a daily basis, then we can, of course, have Sonia answer the question. But board members, anything regarding the budget prior to getting into the full discussion? Okay, do you have anything you want to add?
No.
So let's move then to item D, and that also is going to be a major part of the budget report that we're going to get into full discussion. So do you have anything you want to add now, or prior to getting into that discussion?
No, we can do it.
Okay, because it's going to be all
Yes,
inclusive in a minute. All right, Alma, do you have anybody wants to address the board?
No, sir.
Consent agenda item 2. A, approval of the following consent agenda items. Number 1, payroll and expense vouchers reports. A motion to approve.
I move to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
By Ms. Salchow. Discussion regarding the vouchers, student activity vouchers, and payroll. Roll call.
Mr. Smith,
Yes.
Mrs. Selcha,
Yes.
Mr. Lindeman,
Yes.
Mr. Ramos,
Yes,
Mr. Bering.
Yes, item 3A, discussion information only on Douglas Unified School District budget and enrollment. Ms. Samaniego.
Okay. So I wanted to take this opportunity to provide the most recent update on our budget, our concerns, and our proactive measures as DUSD administration moving forward for the remainder of this school year. So I want to reiterate that whatever I'm discussing, measures, proactive things that we are putting in place is for the remainder of the school year. It is not to alarm anybody by any means, but it is most important for us to understand that what we're doing is because we're being fiscally responsible. So within the budget, we've been talking about the decrease of enrollment, which is ultimately the most important factor come into play with school budgets. You all know that our budgets are made up of our student enrollment, and it is no news to us as a community or to the state that we are losing enrollment every month. So there's various factors that we've been talking about that are affecting the current state of public education, from legislative changes, funding, executive orders on federal programs, state and federal issues that are coming about affecting education. But most importantly, as I said, is the loss of funding, which affects our M&O budget. With that being said, the decline over the last 5 years has really affected and impacted DUSD. Just some numbers for you to keep in the back of your mind. Our proposed budget for this fiscal year was at 3,477.86 students. That's when we proposed it. You adopted it, and that was, I believe, in July. Our most recent budget revision was at 3,388 students, 0.62. That's a loss of 89 students just from the adoption to the most current revision. That equates to $413,709 and $413,709 less in funding just this year. We are funded monthly, depending on our enrollment. So we upload, our Power School SACE reporting is on board and daily, and we get funded on that monthly number. There are some payments that come in additionally that I'm not going to go into a lot of detail, but those are like one-time funding that are extra payments that are not accounted for in our budget. So those are things that come in, but we never know if the government's going to give it to us or not. So because of the current status of our enrollment and just looking at the downward trend over the last 5 months that we've been really keeping an eye on, and knowing that once we adopted and revised the budget, that we were going to have to take a really good close look, and as Mr. Smith said, what proactive measures are we going to be taking if we need to. So the proactive measures that we will be taking, we've already implemented, and I've already updated you privately, is through a thorough analysis of our current budget, which we at leadership did extensively, in just looking at what is encumbered, what needs to be spent, what are some of the major priorities that we still need to take care of. And as you know, our budget, salaries takes up, I think 80 some percent of our budget is salaries. So we've got to have payroll. And we know that there's at least one district in Arizona that wasn't able to pay their staff. And that is priority to me and to our administration. So what we're doing in order to be proactive, and I'm going to put it in the simplest terms that I can, as we all have a checking account and a savings account. I mean, we should try. And so in analyzing our expenses and the things that are priority and the things that we need to accomplish and need to pay through the end of the year, we look at our budget. We look at what's encumbered, we look at what still needs to be paid out, and we look at how much money is floating out there that is going to carry us through the end of the year. So in order to be conservative and fiscally responsible and looking at all of our expenses, what are some areas that we can save from this current budget and hopefully carry over for next school year? Because we've said time and time again, and Mr. Soto has said, it's not this year we're concerned about, but it's next year, right? We've said it repeatedly. So what we have done, and we met with our administrative team after we met extensively with leadership, we've met extensively with business office, and we came up with a plan. And it's just to reserve some of our M&O and our capital money. So being very cautious in what we spend, but not too cautious where we're not going to send kids where they need to go or buy paper if we need to buy paper. So I want to reiterate that. The purpose of the freeze is just, again, to save some money so we can have some carryover. There's 3 areas that we have implemented a budget freeze, and one is a hiring freeze. That is only for positions that may be vacant right now that we haven't filled, or that may be vacating from here to the end of May. So an example would be an instructional aide that, may resign. We're going to look at that school, that position, what does that position or that person serve the purpose for their position, and make a decision whether we really need to employ that and fill that vacancy. Most likely, an IA will not be filled. We're going to do with with the number of staff we have in our schools, and be supportive enough and rearrange and really be conscientious about the staffing and the needs that we have at each school. So an IA is possibly a position that we may not fill. Now, let's say it's ESS 1-to-1 IA. What is a 1-to-1 IA? That is a support staff member that works individually with a high-needs special ed student. Most likely, I'm going to bring that vacancy for fill to the board because we need to make sure that we're following the IEP. So I just use the IA as an example. Today on this board meeting, you do have some recommendations for hire because those are key positions, as I explained to you in my communication, that, for example, you'll see a bus driver. Well, we need to transport kids. We cannot leave that bus driver position open. So that is an example of a position that we have carefully monitored, reviewed, and I am going to be making that recommendation. This does not mean we're not hiring or will not hire for next year positions. Okay, this is only for this year and only vacancies that may come in the next few months. The next area is an expenditure control on our M&O, capital, and including grants. And so anything that is spent or purchased out of M&O, we are carefully looking, and if we need to, we're going to make the expense, but maybe possibly fund it from one of our different accounts, and that we can do. And so the M&O efforts and capital review is all happening at the business office before it even lands on my desk for approval. There are many signatures that take place before anything is ever ordered, from the site to business office to Mr. Soto to myself. And so there's many eyes on an expenditure. So things are going to be denied if we feel that that item or that thing or that expense is not needed. Grants is also an area where Mrs. Herrera is carefully being selective in, the budgets that she grants to the schools and what expenditures they will be having. We don't want them, I told the staff, we don't want you to hoard hundreds and hundreds of crayon boxes. And Mrs. Salcho, that sometimes happens because you worked in the curriculum department. And so we want them to have the things that they need. This does not mean we're not going to purchase the things that we need to operate to be able to do the job of a school. And the last is a freeze on all travel that is usually paid out of our M&O budget. And this does not include our athletics. This does not include things that we have to attend, such as grant-required meetings or things that I may attend overnight. But this is more, a nice-to-do conference that, yes, it's going to be a learning professional development, but you know what? We're going to put it on hold for now, at least for the, till the end of the school year. So we're looking at all of those three areas in order to save some of our M&O and capital money and hold it on for next school year's budget. This does not include also like the auxiliary, the student activity accounts, like the 21st Century, they have grant money and they're funding it. JTED has its own funding. So you're still gonna see some student travel for CTE. That's all funded out of JTED. So the two areas we're really carefully looking at is M&O and our capital. And it takes a team to be able to put things into perspective and just to be conscientious and conservative so that we have a better picture once we're ready to come, let's say in March or April, and say, okay, this is what our budget projections for next year is. This is what we're looking at. These are the areas we're concerned. And that is just being fiscally responsible at this point.
Regarding enrollment, I know you gave a thorough report to the board at the request of a board member regarding enrollment, class sizes, et cetera. So.
But Mr. Bahrain, before you go on, I did have Mrs. Cox. She's going to be showing a presentation. So in addition to what she provided to you, I had her do a presentation because I think it's important for everybody to see. And what she's going to focus on is just give you a perspective of what our school enrollment looks like. Average class sizes, it's a lot easier to do it for elementary because we have, 8, 9, 14 teachers with the class size average of so-and-so. Becomes a little bit more complicated with middle school and definitely with the high school. So she's going to share with you just a PowerPoint in terms of what our current enrollment is. And then I will conclude with just moving forward, what are some of the areas we'll be looking at for next year. So
Well, before you do that, though, to follow a natural segue to what you said, let's open it up for discussion with the board members regarding the preliminary report. Any questions specifically? Anything you see that's confusing regarding what she said, or anything that just comes to mind regarding that budget and how it affects the operation of the district? Mr. Smith.
I'm not sure how, it can be kind of pertinent, but one of the things I kind of wonder about the process that you do your budget for. I did notice that there was legislation where the state was talking about trying to do a standardized budgetary system. Any idea if our current system comes close to what you know, I would hate to say you need to do a new system, and under the new system, the budget changes dramatically.
No, we, our budget systems and how they get the funding, they all base it out of, the standard forms and formulas, and nothing has changed. And Sonia would know if there's any communication coming from the state on a standardized budget formula that they're going to be implementing. But I know there's talks about that. But at this point, the budget is based and built upon what is required from the state at this point.
Just quickly to add on to what she said, one of the concerns is, and one of the reasons that I glean from this is that the district is being very cautious and very diligent, to be honest with you. But one of the main factors is we have to wait and see what the legislature is going to do. You talk about funding.
Exactly.
That's totally up in the air right now. They're talking about taking more money from the land trust. They're doing all kinds of things. They've got all kinds of bills introduced. So that's why the district needs to prudently wait and see what happens. That's just one variable, all right? The other one is the federal government. She talked about grants. Now, those of you who follow any of the common news know that there's a huge juggernaut right now in Washington, D.C., that by the time we leave here tonight, we don't even know whether there's going to be a Department of Education. And the reason that's significant is because of all the federal money. You're looking at the nutrition program, you're looking at Title I, you're looking at all the grants, everything that affects us, okay? So I just wanted to quickly add that. Ms. Alshaw, you had questions regarding?
Well, and thank you for this report on the enrollment. It brings it down to
A T.
yes, detail is what I like to see. I noticed that we have some, what I would say, schools with healthy enrollment or reasonable enrollment, especially in the elementary, and then, in the middle school, it starts to decrease, and I haven't got to the high school yet. I just got it tonight. With that in mind, and with the hiring freeze and spending freeze or slowdown, have you got a plan started for the upcoming possibility? I just know that being proactive, that was very proactive of you to work with what we can kind of adjust spending right now. But are we looking ahead? I mean, it may not come to fruition. It's very possible. It's unlikely, but it's very possible. But where cuts and things will be made, and do our school administrators and our teachers have input in that?
So phase 2 of just conversation. So I consider this phase 1, right?
Okay.
And as I said, moving forward, our plan is to analyze all positions that we currently have within existing schools and departments. That's, in general. Analyzing what our enrollment may be at the end of the year and a forecast for our enrollment next year, and what positions, especially in teaching, which determine, number of students determines the number of positions. And that is not our thing, but there is a thing called comparability with the state. And so a school with 120 kids can't have 15, 16 teachers. There is a comparability formula that limits us with the number of teachers we have based on the number of kids. Looking at our financial expenses, from our light bill to our paper usage. It's going to be a financial expenditure overhaul review to see what kind of, where can we cut corners if we need to. Like you said, will it come into play? We don't know. And just an overview of what it takes to operate a building. The maintenance and operations of the entire district, is different from school to school. So that goes with positions, that goes with, electricity and utilities and all of that. And also looking at our grants, what positions are grant funded versus what is not. If at times there needs to be M&O can split a position, so we're looking at that. So phase 2 is looking at all of these, and our administrative team, last Thursday, we had a meeting, and I had them all start looking at all of their staffing, all of their positions, all of their number of enrollment, and that is where the next phase of our discussions are going to be. And if and when the time comes, that we will have input from, staff that needs to be part of any tough decisions if we find ourselves needing to make tough decisions. And all of that, I want to reassure you that these conversations, you will be included. And you will be made part of it, and so will our, key people. We have a certified salary committee. We have a classified salary committee that they've been invested in doing a lot of hard work over the last couple of years. And so I think that those two groups of people, are champions for change, and they can go out there and also have input and then share the information. We work collaboratively with DEA. We have monthly meetings, and so they also share out information. So they will definitely be a part of these conversations when those conversations need to take place. There is a new state statute on issuance of teacher contracts. A lot of districts started issuing contracts as early as January. And these were the districts up in the valley. So now you cannot issue contracts, I think it's March 15th. So you cannot issue contracts prior to March 15th. And we may have to issue contracts with a no raise included, because by March 15th, we may not know what the state of our, budget will be for next year. And districts do that all the time. They issue contracts when there is a clearer picture, then they do a contract rider, and then they issue their salary increases sometimes in as late as October. So those are some things that we will be looking at, and all stakeholders that need to be part of the roundtable discussion will be part of that discussion.
Thank
Mr.
you.
Lindeman? I'm sorry, were you done, Ms. Elsa?
I know, I was just saying thank you.
Okay, Mr. Lindeman?
I don't have anything specific. I think that we're on the right track for being prudent and fiscally responsible.
Mr. Ramos?
Yes, I would like to have a work session with this, give you ample time to get all the data, see where we're at, and let's all sit down and discuss this very well and look to see what we have to do if we lose funding and what direction we're gonna head. But we here at a regular meeting here,
Yes.
we can't get into that much detail, and I would like to know, have more information, give Mr. Soto and Sonia plenty of time to gather all the input so we can look at what we're going to in the, down the road here.
Well, I can assure you that we're gonna stay on top of it. Right now, it's administrative, but if we have to go any further, such as austerity, which means absolutely nothing, and this is the extreme, but also attrition, any positions that are become vacant, or we have a vacancy savings by attrition, we're gonna take a good look at them. The one thing that she said that I think it's important to note is that, as always, the current budget seems to be okay. As Sonia well knows, that the budget is a spending plan, but you have to have the revenues to support the spending. So as far as that's concerned, she just assured us, right? And of course, I've talked to her, but you can assure us as well that as far as till the end of this fiscal year, we're fine, and there's no problem. But the major issue is gonna be, I think, basically, as she said, board members, is that the measures you're taking now is to assure that next year, we're gonna be in good shape, because of all the uncertainty with the enrollment, which Denise will talk about in a minute, a little bit more thoroughly, I think, is again, all of the uncertainty at the state with all the things that are happening in education and funding. And it's more than enrollment, because they could affect some very statutorily, they could do some things about funding that they have totally within their right. So, are you done, Mr. Ramos?
Well, just to make my point, my concerns wasn't for this year, it's for the future.
Yes,
This is
yes,
what we have
and
to
that's
sit
what we've
down.
been saying.
We don't wanna be caught with our hands tied behind our back here.
No,
in the
definitely
future.
not.
So this is why
Yes.
I want some more.
And just to give you an idea before Denise goes on, over the last 5 years, this is the trend, a total of 317 student loss, which equates to $1,589,121 in the last 5 years. So just in the 5-year trend, 5 years ago, it was we gained 7 students, then we lost 8, then we lost 4, then we lost 131, and the most recent 109. So that equals to the 317, which is a $1.5 million loss. And that kind of catches up to you after, you know, the continued loss. So, but we will definitely do what we need to do and be proactive about start planning for next year.
One of the things we need to worry about too is there's a bill in the legislature right now that if district has financial problems,
Yeah.
the whole school board is removed, which would be fine, I
Lose
guess.
our job.
But the chief financial officer and the superintendent go too.
Yep.
And I mean, that's very serious. Now, I don't know if the esteemed governor, the queen of vetoes, what she would do with that. She's so disappointing sometimes, but we're not gonna get into that. She could have vetoed the budget last year at the state and would have really curtailed the charter schools and the voucher program, but that wasn't done. But I promised her I'm not gonna get into that.
Yes.
So let's go ahead, let's go to you.
I'm already
Denise.
pinching him here.
Yeah, go ahead, Denise.
Okay.
Marco, thank you.
Okay, so we'll begin with current enrollment. And I will say, as Mrs. Samaniego said, we've been talking about the decrease in enrollment for years, a couple of years now, and the concern that we had. So I apologize, the current enrollment is 3,585. I'm not exactly sure why I put 3,400. It is total enrollment, 3,585. However, our ADM, the amount of money we receive is for 3,386 students. So, looking at where we started in July, we started at 3,444 students. That was our ADM. As of January, the end of January, we were at 3,386, which is a loss of 58 students for ADM from the beginning of the year to January. We've remained steady, so, you know, in July, we had 3,444 students for ADM. Then in August, we dropped to 3,390. And from then to now, we've remained steady, so we haven't dropped below 3,300, okay, which is not great, but at least we're steady now. So in January, we enrolled 46 new students. However, we lost 53. Okay, so that's what's hurting us. 18 of those students went to online school. 14 students moved away. 15 students are because of unexcused absences, and 6 students left for other reasons. Okay. So now let's talk about enrollment and teacher class size. So this is elementary. Elementary is easier to see. This is each teacher at each school per grade. What's helped with the enrollment is that our class sizes are smaller. Okay, so I'm sure teachers are very appreciative of that. And then on the very bottom is the total enrollment per school at this time. Okay, so kinder through second, we would like to cap at 25, no more than 25 kids. Third through fifth, we would like to cap at 28. When it's possible, we do it, but sometimes it is not possible. So middle school became a little more complicated. So Huber, total enrollment, you will see 6th, 7th, and 8th there. And so we took an average. So an average of an ELA class, and you have the details in your packets, but on average 20 in ELA, 20 in math, 20 in science, 20 in social studies. That's 6th grade. Then you will see 7th grade. Okay, the numbers, 20, 19, 18, and 23. then 8th grade. And then we have our electives. So media, 17, band 16, PE on average 25. They have a health class, so it's at 21, and art is at 15. And then you will see Ray Barain, 6th grade, 7th and 8th. So in 6th grade, the numbers are about equal. 7th grade, they're close, 21. And then 8th grade, the numbers are decreased a little more at Ray Barain than they are at Huber. And then they have ELD, an ELD teacher. So they have roughly about 9 students per class. Media has 31, band has 13, PE 31, and art 31 on average, okay? And then it became even more complicated at the high school. So the total enrollment at DHS right now is 1,258 students on average. And there is a wide variety of classes. And so on average, ELA is about 20 students, math about 23. In the different sciences, it's about 22, history 23, foreign language, which could be either Spanish or French, it's about 21, PE 17. And then the CTE numbers, they vary depending on the course. Questions? And you have more details in your packet and all of the numbers for everything.
Let me start with Ms. Selchow. Your questions.
Well, the main thing is I needed more of a breakdown. Looking at the different class sizes, especially, and like I said, I look at elementary and I think, man, that looks pretty healthy, for most, not all, but for most. I look at the middle schools and it's not too far off, and looking at the high schools, like your core classes, what was it, 21 was the average?
About 20,
21 was the average. It's a little low. But I know that, like I said, sometimes you may have 30 students in first grade in one school and, the average, in another school you may have 18. So, but just looking at that, and this is such an uncomfortable thing to say, if things do get really, really bad and we don't want them to, would we ever look at doing some freezing at schools? Like only so many students at the school and incoming would have to go to another school? So let's say that, your average class size, if we cut back due to attrition, let's say we lost, a 6th grade teacher at one of the middle schools, and this is just throwing this out here, and at one school you have, 27 to 30, but the other middle school you have 18. Would that encourage the district for incoming students to say, we want you here.
Yes.
We need you here. And would we encourage them to go to the school with the lower enrollment?
So to answer that question, one of the factors that plays into is obviously the capacity that the school is able to have as far as students. And that's all based on teachers.
Sure.
And so if you have less teachers, you have less capacity. If we have a school, and we've done it before, where maybe Ferris has been a little low, we do encourage incoming families, and if you have capacity at that school because of the open enrollment or just you have capacity, they have families that live within that school boundary, you have to accept them. But we do, when we have in the past said, you know what, we have a really great school, lower class sizes, would you be interested in attending there? Because 3rd grade here is at 29 and it's in the best interest, those conversations do take place. So in the event where there's less positions, less teachers, and the capacity for that school reduces, and we have another school that still has room, we will encourage those families to attend that other school. Because the last thing we want to do, and, you know, Mr. Lindeman has been a great advocate of, you know, K-3 and keeping those class sizes lower, and I think not only Mr. Lindeman, but all of us. But when you don't have, you know, the teaching positions or the space, that's when, you know, it becomes difficult when our enrollment was, you know, a lot more students. So those conversations can happen with families.
Mr. Lindeman, regarding the enrollment.
I don't have anything specific.
Mr. Ramos? Is there anything else you, Mr. Smith, did you have any questions regarding enrollment? Is there anything else you want to add regarding that report?
No, just that we are closely looking at all classes, and we will continue these discussions with admin and just looking to see what we can do.
And I
Okay.
know you're working hard on recruitment. I
Yes,
know
yes,
that.
we-
Please understand
yeah,
that.
no.
I do. And that you've even, like, worked with the media arts.
Yes, and
Teacher at
so
the high
she's,
school.
she's gonna be going next week and taking some video footage. I'm recording, a commercial with the radio station, so you will be hearing my voice starting hopefully next week. Don't mind my voice. So we are trying to, you know, encourage, families to enroll kids at DUSD, and we know that we could probably have a lot more students, but we do have residency requirements. So one of the things that we will be doing is having position control meetings with individual principals, one-to-one meetings, to go over in detail, look, this is where your attendance is at, and I see you have a class with 4 kids. Let's look at that and what's happening and what can we do to eliminate that class, because we can't have a class with 4 kids, you know, things like that.
Another thing too is with social media, and that is how most people get their information these days. I know that Douglas High School in particular, you put out a lot of information about sports and all the different activities and all like that, but the people who, you know, follow those are the people who get the information. And if we could possibly encourage our staff, I mean, we can't require it, of course, but if we could encourage them to share that with the people, because somebody might share it with somebody else, and that might spark an interest. Our high school has phenomenal programs. And it just kills me to hear a parent tell me, oh yeah, well, we took them and we put them at the charter school because blah, blah, blah. And I'm thinking, why would you do that? Why would you even consider that? You're starving your child, you know, intelligently. I know this really mean, but it's true. I mean, if you can give your child anything and everything, you're going to try to give them the very, very best. And we have that. It's just we need to make sure everybody outside of these walls understands that we have the best. So, and I'm not gonna let that go. Sorry.
Okay, so then, in summary, to Mr. Ramos's point, as things unfold, especially from the people in Phoenix, then if there's anything significant that develops, we will meet again, because we really want to stay right on top of it. So appreciate the staff and what they're
Yes.
doing, and I know you're very concerned about it. There's some other factors involved, but as soon as you find out more information, and then we get more, and if we find out that at the state they don't let them buy air purifiers anymore, then that'll be an important issue for us as well. In the voucher program, you know, they're buying air purifiers for the students now too, and they give them I promise, but I'm just gonna say this. $2,000 to the voucher program without any questions asked. That's across the board. That's $2,000 that any person that submits an application for whatever without asking any questions. I mean, how irresponsible is that at the state level? And then knowing that we're all struggling, and then you get poor Cartwright School District and Isaac School District and Antelope Wells and all of those districts that are going under. That's not gonna happen here, because we don't wanna lose these important positions, because we don't want to be removed by the state, and I know they don't want to. Okay, good. Thank you, Denise. That was a very thorough report. Do you have anything else
No.
in summary? Item 3B, discussion action on the approval of certified hire. Mr. Lindeman.
I move to approve the certified hire.
Is there a second?
Second.
by Ms. Salchow. Members of the board, discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Smith,
Yes.
Mrs. Selchow,
Yes.
Mr. Lindemann,
Yes.
Mr. Ramos,
Yes.
Mr. Borrego.
Yes, item C, discussion action on the approval of classified hires. Ms. Samaniego.
You have two replacing a bus driver who is being presented as a resignation at this meeting. And we have finally found our next SSO officer that is being funded by the Stronger Connections grant. And that officer is a peace officer who has all the certifications, and she will be placed at Paul Huber Middle School upon approval.
Mr. Lindeman?
Move to approve the classified hires.
Is there a
Second.
second?
Second.
By Mr. Smith. Discussion, members of the board? Roll call.
Mr. Smith,
Yes.
Mrs. Selchow,
Yes.
Mr. Lindemann,
Yes.
Mr. Ramos,
Yes.
Mr. Borrego.
Yes, item D, discussion action on the approval of certified retirement. Ms. Samaniego.
Yes, Mr. Jones, and he is, with a heavy heart, submitted his retirement letter. He's been the principal at Sarah Marley. I believe this is his fifth year at Sarah Marley. And you have his letter. He's very passionate, loves his kids, and would like to continue at Douglas Unified under the ESI program under a different capacity. He would like to continue the remainder of his time in education in the classroom. So thank you, Mr. Jones, and we have 4 important months ahead of us. No, yeah, till June 30th. So thank you, Mr. Jones.
Motion for approval.
I move to approve the certified retirement.
Second.
Second.
By Ms. Salchow. Members of the board, discussion?
Yes, I had, first of all, I wanted to thank Mr. Jones for his service. I know he's done a wonderful job at Sarah Marley. Moving forward, though, when we search for a replacement, I would like to see that this is opened up and a recruitment in a wider swath. That's just my feeling, that we have to open up these things and find the best candidate. Now, in light of all the budget talks, there was a time when the principals in this district shared schools. And so I don't know if we need to go back to that. But those are my 2 ideas.
Thank you.
Anybody else, members of the board?
I do. Okay. Mr. Jones, I read your letter of request for retirement, and I want to tell you that I think that it's the most honorable thing to want to go back into the classroom after being an administrator. There's no job more important. And I know you did a great job as when you were a teacher before. You've done a great job as an administrator, but I really hold you in the utmost respect for that choice. Thank you.
Anybody else? Alma?
Mr. Smith,
Yes.
Mrs. Selchow,
Yes.
Mr. Lindemann,
Yes.
Mr. Ramos,
Yes.
Mr. Borrego.
Yes, item E, discussion action on the approval of classified resignations and retirements. Ms. Samaniego.
We have 2 resignations, one that is effective, 2 effective sort immediately in January. You have the information there. And 2 retirement, 1 revision and 1 new retirement, and that is Lisa and Hema, which are HR classified employees, and those are effective for end of next year.
Mr. Lindeman.
I move to approve the classified resignation and retirements.
Second.
Second.
By Mr. Smith. Mr. No, before we get in, any comments, members of the board, questions regarding that?
I just want to say that Mr. Ortega and Mrs. Quinones has served us very well for many years, and I wish them the best. Thank you.
Of course, we'll have more time.
Yes, they
prior
have
to
more.
that to do a lot more about those 2 people that have been with us so long. Anything else regarding
No.
any of that? Any questions? Roll call, Alma.
Mr. Smith,
Yes.
Mrs. Selchow,
Yes.
Mr. Lindemann,
Yes.
Mr. Ramos,
Yes.
Mr. Borrego.
Yes, item F, discussion action and approval of classified transfers. Ms. Samaniego.
We have two positions currently being presented. Sergio Valtierrez from grounds worker to the HVAC technician, which we've had vacant and a very much needed position. And Bianca Armenta, who's replacing the parent liaison who resigned last month, and at Sarah Marley, which we absolutely need.
Mr.
I
Lundin?
move to approve the classified transfers.
Second,
Second.
by Ms. Salchow. Further discussion?
Uh,
Mr. Lindeman?
Because the item is on the agenda, I imagine there's a change in pay rate.
Yes, it's right there in your background information.
Thank you.
Further discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Mrs. Selchow?
Yes.
Mr. Lindeman?
Yes.
Mr. Ramos?
Yes.
Mr. Borrain?
Yes. Item G, discussion action on approval of athletic hire, Ms. Samaniego.
Jose Quijada being recommended for Paul Huber Middle School boys soccer, and you had the background information there.
And you did have background information
Yes,
on that?
yes.
Mr. Lindeman,
I move to approve the athletic hire.
is there a second?
Second.
By Mr. Smith. Further discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Mrs. Selchow?
Yes.
Mr. Lindeman?
Yes.
Mr. Ramos?
Yes.
Mr. Borrain?
Yes, item H. Discussion action on approval of athletic addendums, Ms. Samaniego.
As presented, those are three addendas for Paul Huber Middle School athletic program.
Mr. Lindeman,
Move to approve the athletic addendums.
second
Second.
by Ms. Salchow. Further discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Mrs. Selchow?
Yes.
Mr. Lindeman?
Yes.
Mr. Ramos?
Yes.
Mr. Borrain?
Yes, item I, discussion action on the approval of student observer, Ms. Samaniego.
You have the background, Ana Villalobos. She's an ASU student and going to be observing and doing her hours at Clausen Preschool.
Motion to approve.
Move to approve the student observer.
Second
Second.
by Mr. Smith. Further discussion? Anything you want to add regarding that? Roll call.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Mrs. Selchow?
Yes.
Mr. Lindeman?
Yes.
Mr. Ramos?
Yes.
Mr. Borrain?
Yes, item J, discussion action on the approval of donations received for Douglas Unified School District number 27, Ms. Samaniego.
We have a donation of $2,500 from Palo Verde Fiesta Bowl Charities for CTE engineering class under Mrs. Barayardos, and a donation of $456 from Donors Choose to CTE construction classroom project, Mr. Torres.
Can I get a motion?
I move to approve the donations.
Second
Second.
by Ms. Salchow. Further discussion? And as always, thank you to those, the generosity of those people. Roll call.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Mrs. Selchow?
Yes.
Mr. Lindeman?
Yes.
Mr. Ramos?
Yes.
Mr. Borrain?
Yes, item K, discussion action on the approval of gifts received for Douglas Unified School District number 27 and designating Superintendent Samaniego to determine the use of the gifts. Ms. Samaniego.
Yes, as presented, we have two. You have the information there. There's two items.
Get a motion
Move to approve.
by Lindeman, second
Second.
by Mr. Smith. Roll call.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Mrs. Selchow?
Yes.
Mr. Lindeman?
Yes.
Mr. Ramos?
Yes.
Mr. Borrain?
Yes, item L, discussion action pursuant to policy BGF to temporarily suspend policy BGB, requiring two readings of the proposed policies prior to approval of the adoption in order to approve the following policies immediately upon first reading. Ms. Samaniego, was there anything you want to point out specifically before we get into that? Any significant ones?
No, just the significant change is the payout for certified staff and at time of retirement and time of resignation. For many years, certified staff at time of retirement was paid out at a level. And so there was a proposal that was brought forth to me, and I think this does right by our certified staff and our classified staff in terms of when they resign, they will be paid out at the level that they deserve to be, and it's a little bit better pay. And then remember that we also implemented a loyalty pay if you've been with us for 5 years, 10 years, 15, 20, because at times, many employees have had to leave and get nothing because of circumstances. And so those are just the major changes, and we've reviewed it, attorney has reviewed it. And so, other than that, everything's good.
Mr. Lindemann,
Move to approve.
second
Second.
by Mr. Smith. Further discussion? Does that include the payout that Nicole's gonna get for the first time this year of the $5,000?
Yeah, I think it says ex officio.
Roll
She
call.
will take half of Mrs. Seville's.
Roll call.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Mrs. Selchow?
Yes.
Mr. Lindemann?
Yes.
Mr. Ramos?
Yes.
Mr. Bereen?
Yes, item M, discussion, information on the following new and revised policy exhibits. Ms. Samaniego.
This is just for information, no vote or action taken, and they're exhibits. What we've done is just uploaded all of our current evaluation tools and forms and documents so that they are current, because the ones that were there were so old. So just updating all of our evaluation exhibits.
Mr. Lindemann? Oh, no, we
Yeah,
don't
no,
need, we
no,
don't need a
yeah,
motion
no
on
vote.
that.
Uh-huh.
Item N, well,
Okay.
first of all, members of the board, do you have any questions or comments regarding any specificity in those policies? Item N?
On item N, board, I need to make a correction. Your background information for item N should have been on the employee that's being presented, Danitza Islava, but Alma was feeling very sick at time of finishing, and I think there was a mix-up. So the information for this employee is actually, the name is Danitza Islava, and it's for abandonment of work. She was employed, started working with the district January 16th this year, and she showed up for work one day, didn't show up the next day or the following, and we've tried to contact her, so we're considering abandonment of work.
I'll give you a minute to look at that background information, board members.
And there's still Miss Ovando. So it's not Miss Ovando. There's a clarification there. Okay. So as presented for Danitza Islava.
Here a motion to approve?
I move to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
By Mr. Ramos. Since that was late in getting that background information to you, board members, do you have any specific questions regarding that now? You didn't have the luxury reading it prior. Mr. Lindman?
I just had a question. It's Danitza Islava is the one that we're
Yes,
talking about?
yes, not Ova,
Not-
yes. And I
because-
see that there's still a Miss Ovando
Yeah,
there,
it's
so
still
so the corrected person is Miss Danitza Islava. We'll correct that last name there, that last
Thank you.
sentence.
Okay, let's get a motion.
I move to approve.
Second?
Second.
Now any discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Mrs. Selchow?
Yes.
Mr. Lindemann?
Yes.
Mr. Ramos?
Yes.
Mr. Bereen?
Yes, item 4, announcements. Ms. Samaniego.
Just a reminder, parent-teacher conferences and early release day. So parent-teacher conferences are on Thursday, early release day is on Friday. President's Day, sorry, not Parents' Day, is, every day is Parents' Day. February the 17th is no school, and our next regular board meeting, March 4th.
Entertain a motion to adjourn
Move to adjourn.
by Mr. Lindemann,
Second.
by Ms. Salchow. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
We stand adjourned.